Alright, Void. I think this is the last one that slipped through the cracks on me. I think this one kind of fell down because I was still trying to figure out how and if I was going to do reviews this on the series. Because ongoing series are very difficult for me to want to talk about because I want to see it all to completion. But if I could find a decent way of chopping it up, I figured I'd go for it. So, Doctor Who. Specifically, the newer incarnations of Doctor Who. I was I was trying to figure out if I should do this, but since it is still airing and doesn't look like it's going to die anytime soon, I figured since I just rewatched the first series for it, I'm not going to break it up by series, I'm going to break it up by Doctor. Since each Doctor seems to have at least a relatively coherent plotline throughout, they could at least follow that to a degree. So, uh, first series, quote unquote, or at least the first of the rebooted series, definitely has a different flavor than a lot of the ones that came after, and that works for it in a lot of ways. Doesn't work for it quite as much as the other. So, um, what do we say on this one? So, plot that involves around a reincarnating time traveling alien who picks up a companion and has wacky adventures in history. Each series kind of has more or less of a focus depending, but this one seems to have more of an aspect of almost like a time cop aspect is kind of what Eccleston's Doctor has for it. Is that the right actor? I always get things crossed slightly. Uh, want to make sure I'm saying that right. And of course, it's not conveniently showing up for me. Well, anyway, point I'm trying to say there is this Doctor, I'll say, is not my particular favorite. The Ninth Doctor. Yep, I was right. Eccleston, Christopher Eccleston. Okay. So I will say, of the Doctors I've seen, he's not my favorite. I definitely preferred Matt Smith and David Tennant over Eccleston, but I didn't. He was a good intro into things. He only played in the first season in 2005, so made this review a little bit easier to wrap my head around, which was a good introduction or reintroduction to the series. It definitely is a little bit more plot light than a lot of the later ones get, with things getting like a multi-season running and things kind of get out of hand after this point, particularly once we get into the Matt Smith series. But for here, it's at least a small, manageable dose. There is kind of a plot line that threads itself through, but you have to really be paying attention to pick up on it up until, well, at the end. So, it's a great sci-fi fantasy, really, because a lot of it goes into the fantastical, but it's got a distinct flavor to its own. Eccleston's Doctor really fluctuates between the serious business and downright goofy, but he never goes as goofy as some of the later ones got, especially Matt Smith. But I don't think he hits the drama as hard as David Tennant can when he wants to. So, as much as I did enjoy Eccleston, he wasn't doing it for me nearly as much as the others. So, uh, for this overall, for this season, this individual series of it, MacGuffin-wise, I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want to place this one. I think I'll give it a 6 MacGuffins. It's good, but I do like the later stuff a bit more. But it definitely is a good intro to it. It's particularly as you're getting used to the time traveling, and it's a good reintroduction to some of the races that pop up in this if you haven't seen the older ones. So it does a good job as being an intro. I think that's all I really want to go. I will say, being like a TV thing, the effects kind of fluctuate, and some of them, particularly towards the beginning, not that great. But in a way, that's kind of the charm, especially if you know older Doctor Who, where it looks really cheesy. It's kind of part of the fun. All right, take care.